The peaceful morning at Earth's Deep Space Monitoring Station changed in an instant. Officer Robert stared at his screen, his coffee cup frozen halfway to his lips. The readings made no sense at first. Massive objects appearing just beyond Neptune's orbit, far too large to be natural. "Sir, you need to see this," he called out to Command Chief Wilson, who rushed over from his station. The chief's eyes widened as he processed the data streaming across the monitor. Dozens of enormous ships, each larger than anything humanity had ever built, drifted through space in a scattered formation. Their movements were erratic, and even from this distance, the sensors showed serious damage to their hull structures. "Get me a direct line to Space Command now," Wilson ordered, his voice steady despite the situation. Within minutes, military satellites and telescopes across the solar system turned their attention to the mysterious fleet. The first images revealed the true scale of what they were dealing with. The ships were massive, with designs unlike anything seen in human science fiction. Their hulls seemed to be made of some crystalline material that sparkled even in the dim sunlight this far from the sun. But many of these beautiful vessels were clearly broken, with huge sections missing or barely holding together. Then came the signal. At first it was just a pattern of pulses, broadcasting on multiple frequencies. Earth's most advanced computers worked to decode it, and within hours they had their answer. It was a distress call. The message, once partially translated, was simple but desperate. "Help. Life support failing. Millions aboard. No fuel. No power. Please help." Space Command's Emergency Council gathered in their underground headquarters. Admiral Baker paced the room as scientists and military experts shared their findings. "The ships are running on emergency power only," reported Dr. Adams, the lead scientist. "Based on our readings, they have maybe 2 weeks before their life support systems fail completely." 2 weeks to figure out how to help aliens we know nothing about," Baker muttered, studying the holographic display of the damaged fleet. "What do we know about their numbers?" "Preliminary scans suggest between 3 to 4 million individuals spread across their vessels," answered Captain Linda, her tablet displaying endless streams of sensor data. "Many appear to be in some form of suspended animation, likely to conserve resources." The situation became even more urgent when the first detailed scans reached Earth. The damage to the alien ships wasn't from natural causes. They showed clear signs of weapons fire. These weren't explorers. They were refugees. As the day progressed, more stations around Earth picked up additional transmissions. The aliens were sending technical data about their ships, medical information about their species, and increasingly desperate pleas for assistance. "They're trusting us with everything they have," Dr. Adams observed, reviewing the incoming data. "They're not hiding anything. They're laying all their cards on the table because they have no choice." The growing crisis attracted the attention of every major nation on Earth. Emergency meetings were called. Experts were consulted, and humanity faced its first true test as a spacefaring civilization. Would they help these unknown beings who appeared literally on their doorstep? The alien situation grew worse by the hour. 3 of their smaller ships had already lost power completely, their occupants evacuated to the larger vessels in desperate last-minute transfers. The refugees were quite literally putting all their eggs in fewer and fewer baskets. Late that night, as the world's leaders debated their response, a new message arrived from the alien fleet. This one was different. It contained visual data, the first images of the aliens themselves. They were nothing like the movies had prepared humanity for. The beings were tall, with bioluminescent skin that pulsed with patterns of light, their way of communication. They looked almost fragile, with slender limbs and large, expressive eyes. In the transmission, they showed their children, their elderly, their injured, all depending on failing life support systems. The message ended with something unexpected. Pictures they had taken of Earth as they approached the solar system. They showed our blue planet shining like a jewel in space, and somehow They had managed to format the images into what humans would recognize as a simple question. Will you help us? As the first day of this historic encounter drew to a close, humanity stood at a crossroads. Their response would define not just their own future, but potentially the future of galactic civilization itself. The clock was ticking, and millions of lives hung in the balance. The United Nations Assembly Hall had never been so packed. World leaders sat shoulder to shoulder, while military commanders and scientific advisors crowded the aisles. The atmosphere was tense as Captain Thomas of the Earth Space Corps stepped up to the podium, his presentation ready. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, his voice clear and determined, "we have less than 2 weeks to save nearly 4 million lives. Here's how we do it." The lights dimmed, and a holographic display filled the center of the hall. It showed Earth's entire space fleet, cargo ships, research vessels, and military craft, all positioned around the alien vessels in a complex pattern. "Our first challenge is power. Their ships run on crystal-based technology we barely understand, but we can adapt our fusion generators to provide emergency power." Thomas pointed to specific spots in the hologram. "We'll need every space-worthy vessel Earth has, plus every portable generator on the planet." Murmurs filled the room as the scale of the operation became clear. The Russian delegate stood up first. "This will leave Earth defenseless. What if this is trapped?" Thomas had expected this question. He switched the display to show the detailed scans of the alien ships. "Look at their weapons systems, or what's left of them. They're completely offline. These people literally can't power their food processors, let alone weapons. They're at our mercy." "And the cost?" China's representative asked, though her voice carried more curiosity than concern. "Less than what we'd lose if we do nothing," Thomas replied. "If those ships fail, if millions die in our solar system while we watched and did nothing, what would that say about humanity? What would it mean for our future in the galaxy?" The hall fell silent as his words sank in. The UN Secretary-General stood up, her face grave. "We're not just deciding the fate of the aliens. We're deciding who we are as a species." The debate raged for hours. Economic experts warned of the strain on Earth's resources. Military leaders argued both for and against the rescue. Scientists begged for the chance to learn from alien technology. Then came the game changer. A young engineer from India's space program, speaking from the back of the room, offered a brilliant solution. "We don't need to power their entire ships," she explained, stepping forward. "We just need to maintain their life support and essential systems. We can do that with 1/4 of the power they're requesting." The mood in the room shifted. What had seemed impossible now felt within reach. Thomas quickly adjusted his plans, and the new calculations showed on the giant display. 48 hours, he announced. "Give me 48 hours to mobilize every ship we have. We'll start with their most damaged vessels first. We can do this." The Secretary-General called for a vote. The result wasn't even close. As the assembly dispersed, the real work began. Spaceports around the world burst into activity. Retired ships were rapidly recommissioned. Factory workers volunteered for extra shifts to build emergency equipment. Scientists and engineers worked around the clock to adapt Earth technology for alien systems. In orbit, the International Space Station became the command center for the operation. Commander Bill watched as ships from every nation began assembling into what would become the largest rescue fleet in human history. "Look at that," he said to his crew, pointing out the window at the growing armada. Chinese cargo ships next to American cruisers. Russian tankers flying alongside European rescue craft. When's the last time you saw anything like this? The answer, of course, was never. Humanity had never been this united, this focused on a single goal. 24 hours into preparations, they received another message from the alien fleet. Their universal translator was getting better, and this time the meaning was clear. One of their largest ships had just lost primary power. They were running out of time. Thomas, now aboard the command ship Hope, made the call. They couldn't wait the full 48 hours. The rescue would begin immediately, ready or not. As the first wave of Earth ships ignited their engines, a message was broadcast to the alien fleet in their own language. Hold on. We're coming. The greatest rescue mission in human history was about to begin, and nobody knew exactly how it would end. But for the first time since the crisis began, both humans and aliens shared something precious: hope. Commander Kate stood at the helm of the rescue ship Endeavour, watching as her vessel led the first wave of human ships toward the damaged alien fleet. The closer they got, the more stunning the alien vessels appeared, and the more apparent their desperate situation became. All teams, final systems check, she ordered through the comm system. Her crew, a mix of engineers, medical personnel, and space rescue specialists, responded one by one. They had trained for space emergencies, but nothing like this. The first challenge came sooner than expected. As they approached the most damaged alien ship, their instruments started acting strangely. The ship's crystalline hull was interfering with their scanning equipment. Engineering, what's happening? Kate called down to the engine room. Chief Engineer Mark's voice crackled back, filled with both frustration and excitement. Their technology. It's not just different, it's fundamentally alien. These crystals aren't just their hull, they're their computers, their power system, everything. The rescue teams had to adapt quickly. Traditional docking procedures wouldn't work. The alien airlocks operated on completely different principles. The solution came from an unexpected source: the ship's youngest engineer, Jake. Look at how the crystals respond to different frequencies of light, he pointed out, showing readings on his tablet. They're not just pretty, they're reactive. We can use that. Working quickly, the human crews modified their approach. Using carefully calibrated light pulses, they'd managed to communicate directly with the alien ship systems. The first successful dock was met with cheers across both fleets. But the real challenges were just beginning. Inside the alien vessel, the rescue teams encountered an environment like nothing they'd imagined. The corridors seemed to shift and pulse with living light, and the air itself had a strange, sweet quality. The aliens they encountered were weak but conscious. Their bioluminescent skin had dimmed to a faint glow, a sign of their deteriorating condition, they'd later learned. Despite the language barrier, the gratitude in their large, expressive eyes was unmistakable. Focus on life support first, Kate ordered her teams. Everything else is secondary. The engineers discovered that while they couldn't directly power the alien systems with human technology, they could use their fusion generators to energize the aliens' crystals, which in turn powered their systems. It wasn't elegant, but it worked. As the first day of rescue operations continued, they developed a rhythm. Human ships would dock, establish power connections, and begin evacuating the most critical areas to temporary life support zones on human vessels. The aliens proved to be willing partners in their own rescue. Despite their weakened state, they worked alongside the humans, using their knowledge of their own systems to guide the rescue efforts. They communicated through a combination of light patterns, gestures, and the increasingly effective universal translators. A breakthrough came when one of the alien engineers managed to show the humans how their crystal technology worked. The crystals weren't just power sources, they were living technology, capable of adapting and growing. Once the humans understood this, they were able to work with the crystals rather than trying to bypass them. It's like they've developed an entirely different path of technological evolution, Mark reported, his voice full of wonder. They didn't just build their ships, they grew them. By the end of the first day, 3 of the most critically damaged ships had been stabilized. Hundreds of aliens had been temporarily relocated to human vessels, where medical teams worked to understand and meet their biological needs. The work was exhausting but rewarding. Every successful rescue, every system restored, brought new understanding between the two species. The aliens showed their appreciation by sharing what they could of their technical knowledge, even in their weakened state. As the first shift of rescue workers returned to their ships for rest, Kate received a message from Earth. More ships were on their way, bringing additional supplies and equipment modified based on what they'd learned from the first wave. Looking out at the massive alien fleet, still mostly in distress, but with the first glimpses of hope showing in the form of stabilized ships, Kate felt a surge of pride. Humanity was passing this test, proving they could rise above their differences to help another species in need. "Next shift starts in 6 hours," she announced to her crew. "Get some rest. We've got a lot more lives to save." The warning alarms blared across the rescue fleet without warning. Engineer Mike was the first to spot the critical readings coming from the largest alien vessel, designated Alpha 1. "Commander, we have a serious problem." His voice cut through the comm channels. "Alpha 1's main reactor crystal is showing signs of catastrophic failure. The radiation levels are climbing fast." The alien ship was massive, housing over 1 million refugees in suspended animation. Its central crystal core, nearly the size of a football field, was beginning to fracture. Each crack sent pulses of dangerous radiation through the ship's corridors. Commander Kate's voice remained steady despite the crisis. "How long do we have?" 2 hours, maybe less," Mike replied, his fingers flying over the holographic displays. "If that crystal shatters completely, the radiation burst will kill everyone aboard. We can't evacuate that many people in time." The alien engineers, communicating through their light patterns, were showing signs of panic, their skin flashing in rapid, chaotic patterns that the translators couldn't keep up with. One of them, whom the humans had nicknamed Blue for his deeper colored bioluminescence, managed to convey the gravity of the situation. The crystal wasn't just failing, it was dying. Their living technology was reaching the end of its life cycle, and the stress of the recent battles had accelerated the process. Mike studied the readings, an idea forming. "Commander, permission to try something incredibly stupid." At this point, "Engineer, I'm open to anything." Mike explained his plan quickly. Earth's fusion reactors operated on fundamentally different principles than the alien crystal technology, but both dealt with enormous amounts of energy. If they could sync the frequency of their fusion plasma with the crystal's resonance, we might be able to stabilize it long enough for a controlled shutdown, he finished. "But we'll need every fusion reactor we have, and we'll have to get them inside that ship." It was dangerous, possibly suicidal, but it was the only plan they had. Commander Kate gave the order, and the rescue fleet sprang into action. Ships began detaching their fusion cores, their own lifelines, and carefully maneuvering them into the alien vessel. The radiation levels kept climbing. Workers in protective suits raced against time, setting up the fusion cores in a circle around the failing crystal. Mike worked with Blue, trying to match the energy signatures. "Everyone non-essential, evacuate now," Kate ordered. The corridors filled with people running for the airlocks, but Mike and a small team stayed behind with their alien counterparts. The first attempt to sync the fusion cores failed spectacularly, sending a surge of energy that knocked out power to half the ship. The second attempt produced better results, but the crystal was still deteriorating. "We're missing something," Mike muttered, watching the readings. Then he saw Blue making an urgent pattern with his lights. The alien was pointing at the smaller crystals throughout the ship. "They're all connected," Mike realized. "It's not just the main crystal. It's a network. We need to sync with all of them." With less than 30 minutes remaining, they rewired their setup, connecting to the smaller crystals throughout the ship. The radiation levels were now dangerous even through their suits, but they couldn't stop. "Ready for final attempt," Mike reported, his voice tense. "Initiating sync in 3, 2, 1. The fusion cores hummed to life, their energy flowing into the crystal network. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, slowly, the fractures in the main crystal began to stabilize. The radiation levels stopped climbing. Blue's skin pulsed with patterns of joy as the crystal's glow steadied. They'd done it. The dying crystal was accepting the fusion energy, using it to repair itself. Status report. Kate's voice came through the comm. We're stable, Mike replied, exhausted but relieved. The crystal's healing itself. It's actually healing itself. The crisis had been averted, but it had taught them something valuable. Human and alien technology, while completely different, could work together in ways nobody had imagined possible. As the emergency teams began the process of retrieving their fusion cores and restoring normal operations, Mike and Blue exchanged what had become their customary farewell. A human thumbs up met with a gentle pulse of bioluminescent light. They had passed the hardest test yet, but everyone knew there would be more challenges ahead. For now, though, they could take pride in knowing that through cooperation and innovation, they had saved 1 million lives. As the rescue operation stabilized, an unexpected development began across the combined fleet. In the shared spaces of human and alien vessels, two civilizations were learning to understand each other. The breakthrough came in Medical Bay 4 of the Earth ship Discovery. Dr. James was treating an injured alien when he noticed something remarkable about their healing process. The alien's bioluminescent skin wasn't just for communication. It played a role in their body's repair mechanisms. The light patterns actually accelerate cell regeneration. He explained to his colleagues, watching in amazement as the alien's wound healed before their eyes. Their biology has evolved to use light energy directly. The aliens, in turn, were fascinated by human medical technology. They watched in wonder as simple bandages and stitches helped heal injuries. What seemed basic to humans was revolutionary to a species that had always relied on their natural bioluminescence for healing. In the engineering sections, the exchange of knowledge was even more dramatic. The aliens began teaching humans about their crystal technology, showing how it grew and adapted like living tissue. Engineer Mike, still celebrated for his role in saving the Alpha 1 ship, worked closely with Blue to understand the principles. It's not just technology, Mike explained during a briefing. It's a partnership between their science and nature. They don't build their ships, they cultivate them. The aliens were equally impressed by human innovation. They had never conceived of mechanical solutions to problems they had solved biologically. The sight of humans using simple tools to achieve complex results filled them with admiration. Communication improved rapidly as both species learned from each other. The aliens began supplementing their light patterns with human gestures, while humans learned to recognize the emotional meanings behind different colors and rhythms of bioluminescence. The first successful translation of the aliens' full language revealed something surprising. They called themselves the Light Singers, though this was the closest human translation could come to their actual name. Our ancestors sang with light to the stars, one alien elder explained through the translator. We never dreamed the stars would answer with such kindness. Food became another bridge between the species. The aliens were photosynthetic, requiring specific wavelengths of light for nourishment. When they learned that humans grew plants for food, they were delighted by the parallel. Human children aboard the rescue ships proved to be the best at adapting to alien communication. They quickly learned to speak in light patterns using handheld devices, and the alien children responded with equal enthusiasm. "Look, Mom," a young girl demonstrated, using her light pad to create patterns. "This means friend, and this means play." The aliens shared their medical knowledge freely, showing humans how to use light frequencies for healing. In return, humans taught them about adaptability and mechanical innovation. Both species found they had much to learn from each other. One of the most profound moments came when an alien artist created a light sculpture in the main hall of the Discovery. It was a moving pattern that told the story of their rescue, showing human and alien ships moving together in harmony. The display brought tears to many human eyes, while the aliens pulsed with colors of deep emotion. "We had forgotten," the alien elder said, "that different paths can lead to the same truth. You humans remind us that there are many ways to reach the stars." As days passed, the distinction between human and alien spaces began to blur. Mixed crews worked together, combining their strengths. Humans installed mechanical systems to support the crystal technology, while aliens used their light-based science to enhance human equipment. The success of the rescue operation was transforming into something more, the beginning of a true partnership between species. Each day brought new discoveries, new understandings, and new possibilities for cooperation. In their private log entries, many humans noted how natural it felt now to work alongside beings who glowed with their emotions and sang with light. The aliens, in their own records, expressed amazement at how quickly they had come to trust and rely on these resourceful, adaptable creatures called humans. But amid this growing harmony, neither species realized they were about to face a test that would challenge their newfound alliance to its very limits. The discovery came during a routine data exchange. Tech Officer Alex was reviewing the alien ship's sensor logs when he noticed something that made his blood run cold. He immediately called an emergency meeting with Commander Kate and the alien representatives. "They're being hunted," Alex explained, pointing to the data streams. "These energy signatures following their fleet, they're warships, the same ones that attacked them before." Blue's skin pulsed with dark colors of fear as he confirmed Alex's findings. Through the translator, he revealed the full truth. Their people had fled not just from a battle, but from an extinction campaign. Their enemies, the destroyers, believed that crystal-based life forms were an abomination that needed to be eliminated. "How long until they reach our solar system?" Commander Kate asked, her voice grim. 5 days, maybe 6, Alex replied. "They're following the energy trail from the damaged ships." The news spread quickly through both fleets. Earth's military commanders gathered for an emergency session, while the alien refugees pulsed with patterns of terror. The choice facing humanity was clear but difficult. Stand with their new allies and face an advanced hostile force, or step aside and watch another species be destroyed. Admiral Baker's voice was firm during the global broadcast. "We didn't save millions of lives just to abandon them now. Earth stands with our allies." Military preparations began immediately. The alien ships were still too damaged to fight, but they shared everything they knew about their enemy's capabilities. The destroyers used weapons that could disrupt crystal structures at a molecular level, devastating against the alien ships, but untested against human technology. "That might be our advantage," suggested military strategist John. "They've evolved their weapons to fight crystal-based technology. They won't be expecting our mechanical and electronic systems." The aliens provided more than just information. Despite their weakened state, they offered their advanced defensive technology, crystals that could create energy shields far more powerful than anything humans had developed. Engineers worked around the clock to integrate alien crystal shields with human weapon systems. It was dangerous work. The crystals were sensitive and could be unstable when merged with unfamiliar technology. More than one test ended in explosive failure. "The shields work perfectly until we try to fire our weapons," Mike reported after another failed test. "The energy signatures clash." The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. One of the alien children, watching the tests, pointed out that the crystals responded differently to living touch than to mechanical systems. By adding biological neural interfaces to the weapons controls, they managed to create a stable hybrid system. As Earth's combined fleet took up defensive positions around the solar system, tensions ran high. The alien refugees were moved to the safety of Mars' orbit, protected by a ring of armed stations. Earth's ships, now equipped with crystal shields, formed the first line of defense. Commander Kate stood on the bridge of her ship, now transformed into a hybrid of human and alien technology. The crystal shields hummed with energy, while human weapons waited at the ready. Her crew was mixed, humans and aliens working side by side, each bringing their unique strengths to the coming battle. "All ships, report status," she ordered, watching as the fleet check-in sequence began. The responses came in quick succession. Human voices and alien light patterns confirming their readiness. They had trained together, learned each other's strengths and weaknesses, and forged a fighting force unlike anything seen before in the galaxy. Long-range sensors detected the first signs of the approaching enemy fleet. The destroyers were coming in fast, their ships massive and numerous. They clearly weren't expecting any resistance, believing they were pursuing helpless refugees. "They don't know about us," John observed. "They have no idea what they're flying into." Blue's skin pulsed with a pattern that the translator interpreted as both determination and gratitude. The aliens had fled across the galaxy, seeking only survival. Instead, they had found allies willing to stand with them against their genocidal pursuers. As the enemy drew closer, Commander Kate sent one final message to the fleet. "Remember, we're not just defending our allies. We're defending the principle that different forms of life can coexist. That technology can evolve in different ways. That diversity makes us stronger." The coming battle would prove whether that principle could survive its greatest test. The destroyer fleet emerged from deep space exactly where predicted, their massive ships casting long shadows against the sun. Their first transmission was simple and cold: "Stand aside or be destroyed with the abominations." Commander Kate's response was equally brief: "No." The battle began with a thunderous display of power as the destroyers launched their crystal-disrupting weapons, expecting to tear through their prey with ease. Instead, their beams met the hybrid shields of Earth's fleet, creating spectacular displays of deflected energy. "Shields holding," Mike reported from engineering, where Heat and Blue worked in perfect sync, maintaining the delicate balance between human and alien technology. "Their weapons aren't designed to handle our hybrid defense systems." The counterattack came from all directions. Earth's ships had spread out in a three-dimensional battle formation, something the destroyers had never encountered. While their enemies were used to fighting in traditional space lanes, humanity had learned to think in true zero-gravity combat. "All ships, execute Pattern Delta," Kate ordered. The human fleet split into smaller groups, attacking from multiple angles. Conventional weapons, missiles, rail guns, and energy beams struck the destroyer ships from unexpected vectors. The aliens contributed more than just their shield technology. Their ability to communicate through light allowed for instant tactical coordination across the battlefield, faster than any radio signal. Ships could react to threats and opportunities almost simultaneously. The destroyers' first wave faltered under the unexpected resistance. Their ships, while powerful, were designed for overwhelming force against a specific type of enemy. They had never faced an opponent that combined technologies in this way. But the enemy was far from defeated. They adapted quickly, launching swarms of smaller craft designed to overwhelm the defenders through sheer numbers. That's when humanity revealed its secret weapon. "Launch the drones," Kate commanded. Thousands of small, automated craft emerged from Earth's ships. These weren't the simple drones of early space warfare. They were hybrid machines, guided by both human AI and alien crystal technology. They moved with impossible precision, intercepting the enemy swarms. The battle raged across the solar system. Near Mars, a group of destroyer ships broke through, heading for the refugee fleet. They met Earth's last line of defense, armed stations that combined the heaviest human weapons with the most powerful alien shields. The deciding moment came when the destroyer's flagship pressed forward, attempting to break through to the refugee ships. Commander Kate made a bold decision. "All ships, concentrate fire on these coordinates," she ordered, highlighting a specific point in space. The human fleet fired not at the flagship, but at a point ahead of it. As their weapons converged, the alien light-based communication network pulsed with precise timing. The combined energy of multiple weapons, synchronized through alien crystal technology and human precision targeting, created a momentary rupture in space itself. The destroyer flagship flew directly into it, its own momentum becoming its undoing. Seeing their flagship torn apart by the concentrated power of two civilizations working as one, the remaining destroyer ships began to retreat. Their withdrawal was chaotic. They had never planned for defeat, never considered that their technological superiority could be overcome. As the enemy fled, cheers erupted across the human alien fleet. Crews embraced, their differences forgotten in the joy of victory. Blue's skin pulsed with colors so bright they nearly overwhelmed the bridge's sensors, the alien equivalent of joyous laughter. In the aftermath, humanity and the Light Singers found themselves bound together by more than just necessity. They had proved that different paths of evolution, different approaches to technology, and different forms of life could not only coexist, but create something greater than the sum of their parts. The refugee fleet, no longer running, would find a new home in the solar system. The crystals that powered their ships would be cultivated on Mars, creating new habitats that blended their technology with human engineering. Earth's cities would soon glow with the light of alien crystals, while alien ships would pulse with the power of human fusion cores. Commander Kate stood on her bridge one last time, watching the combined fleet return home. "You know," she said to no one in particular, "they came here looking for sanctuary. Instead, they found something better." "What's that?" asked Mike, looking up from his console. "Partners," she replied, as both human and alien crew members nodded in agreement. They found partners. The stars seemed to shine brighter that day, as humanity took its first steps into a larger universe. Not alone, but hand in hand with their new allies, ready to face whatever challenges awaited them among the stars.